It was one of those perfect Saturday afternoons when the air smelled like sizzling ribs, laughter echoed across the fence, and the grill popped like fireworks. My backyard had become a weekend ritual: family, friends, food, and music. But to one person on the other side of the fence, it was apparently the seventh circle of hell. Her name was Karen. Short, blonde, always in pink or red jogging suits that screamed, "Don't talk to me," and sunglasses big enough to cover half her face. From the first day I moved into Maplewood Lane, I could tell she was that neighbor, the kind who kept a decibel meter in her heart and a complaint ready on her tongue. That Saturday, I was flipping burgers while my brother Jake poured lemonade for the kids. The smell of charcoal mixed with the sweet tang of BBQ sauce in the warm breeze. Everyone was laughing, relaxed, until that sharp, angry voice sliced through it. "Can you people keep it down? Some of us are trying to have peace around here." I turned around and saw her, Karen, arms crossed, glaring over the fence like a hawk ready to strike. "Hey, Karen," I said, trying to sound friendly. "It's just a family cookout. We'll wrap up before sunset." But she wasn't having it. "You said that last weekend. And the weekend before that. You think the neighborhood wants to hear your noise?" Jake muttered under his breath. "Noise? That's called music, lady." I shot him a look to stay calm. But inside I was boiling. It wasn't like we were blasting music at midnight. We were grilling on a Saturday afternoon. For crying out loud, Karen stormed back into her house, and we all exchanged uneasy glances. "Just ignore her," my wife, Mia, whispered, squeezing my hand. "She'll get tired eventually." But oh, if only that were true. Because just as the sun began to dip, flashing gold across the backyard, 2 police cars rolled up in front of my house, lights flashing. I froze. "You've got to be kidding me," I muttered. The officers walked in, calm but serious. "Sir, we received a noise complaint." "Are you the homeowner?" Karen stood in her driveway, arms folded triumphantly. "Of course you did," Jake muttered again. I tried to explain politely. "Officers, we're just having a small family BBQ. No loud music, no drinking, just food and family time." They checked the noise levels, looked around, and one of them even smiled. "Looks fine to me, sir. Just keep it down a bit." Karen's face turned red, almost matching her tracksuit. And that's when I realized this wasn't the last time she'd call the cops. It was just the beginning, but I had no idea. Next time, the police wouldn't just find us grilling. They'd find something that would destroy Karen's perfect little image. The following weekend, I promised Mia I'd keep it quiet. No speakers, no loud chatter, just a chill family meal. But as soon as the first streak of smoke rose from the grill, Karen's curtains twitched. I could feel her eyes burning through them. It wasn't even 5 minutes before she was outside again. "Unbelievable," she shouted. "You people have no respect for anyone." I sighed. "Karen, it's just a barbecue. We're not bothering anyone else. Ask the neighbors." "I already have," she snapped. "They just don't want to say anything to your face." Jake leaned over and whispered, "Yeah, because they're not crazy." I bit back a smile, trying to stay calm. "Look, we'll be done soon. Promise." Karen huffed and stormed off again. An hour later, I heard the same sound. Police sirens. "Not again," Mia groaned. Sure enough, the same officers arrived, but this time something was different. One of them looked awkwardly toward Karen's house as if he already knew it was nonsense. "Another complaint, sir," the officer said. "But, honestly, everything looks fine here. We'll just have to note the repeat call." Karen stood by her mailbox shouting, "They're lying! They're disturbing the peace." The officer sighed. "Ma'am, please step back." I could tell they were tired of her antics, too. After the cops left, I noticed something strange. Karen's teenage son, maybe 15 or 16, standing quietly by their porch. He looked embarrassed, not just by the police, but by her. He caught my eye for a second, then quickly looked away. That kid didn't look like trouble. He looked like he wanted to disappear. I didn't think much of it then, but I should have, because he would become the center of everything soon. That night, Mia said softly, "Maybe she's lonely, or maybe she's just miserable." Yeah, I sighed, staring out at the fence. But misery loves company, and I don't plan on joining hers. Still, the tension was growing, and the next weekend it would finally explode. But before that happened, I was about to see a side of Karen I didn't think existed, a side full of secrets. By the third weekend, everyone in the neighborhood knew about Karen's war on my BBQs. Some even joked about it. A few neighbors started joining just to irritate her, bringing side dishes and extra chairs. We called it the silent BBQ. No music, just laughter and the sounds of sizzling meat. But Karen didn't find it funny. That afternoon, I heard a loud bang on the fence. "Enough! You think this is a joke?" she screamed. "I'll have you fined." Jake rolled his eyes. Maybe she should grill some manners. Jake. "Please," Mia whispered. I was about to walk over to calm things down when I saw Karen storm back inside, slamming her door so hard it rattled her wind chimes. 10 minutes later, I smelled something. Smoke, but not from my grill. I looked up and saw black smoke curling from behind Karen's fence. "Mia, call 911, I shouted, running toward the fence. "Karen, is everything okay?" I yelled. No answer. I grabbed the garden hose and jumped the fence. Her backyard was chaos. A small fire had started near her patio, spreading toward her shed, and there, standing frozen, was her son, eyes wide, holding a lighter. I quickly sprayed the flames while yelling for him to move back. He was trembling. I didn't mean to. She was yelling at me. Karen burst out the back door. "What are you doing here?" "Get out of my yard." "Your yard's on fire." I snapped. "Your son was here. He could have been hurt." Her face went pale. The fire department arrived just in time. They put it out before it spread to her house. Karen tried to act like nothing happened. "It was just an accident," she told them. "Everything's fine." But her son looked at me, terrified, like he wanted to say more. That night, I couldn't shake the image of his face. Something wasn't right in that house, and the next weekend, when she called the cops again, her son wouldn't be behind her fence anymore. He'd be sitting at my table. The following weekend came faster than I wanted. The fire incident had shaken everyone, but no one brought it up, especially not Karen. She avoided eye contact, kept her curtains drawn, and for the first time since I'd moved in, I didn't hear her voice piercing through the air. I thought maybe she'd finally decided to let things go. Maybe the fire had humbled her a little. I was wrong. That Saturday afternoon, I lit the grill again. This time, it was just family. No friends, no neighbors. I wanted peace. Mia made her famous potato salad, and Jake handled the burgers while the kids chased each other around the yard. As I flipped the ribs, I noticed someone standing awkwardly near the edge of our fence. It was Karen's son. He looked hesitant, like he wasn't sure if he should be there. "Hey, buddy," I said, wiping my hands on a towel. "You okay?" He glanced back at his house, then mumbled, "Can I just sit here for a bit? My mom's in a mood again." I nodded. "Of course. You hungry?" He hesitated, then nodded shyly. I handed him a plate. We didn't talk much at first. He just sat quietly, picking at his food, eyes darting nervously toward the house next door. Mia whispered, "Isn't that Karen's kid?" "Yeah," I said softly. "He just needs a break," she nodded. "Poor thing. He looked scared." As the sun dipped, the boy started to relax. He even laughed at Jake's dumb jokes. For a moment, it felt normal, like any other neighborhood meal, until I saw the flash of red at the corner of my eye. Karen. She stood by the fence, phone in hand, face twisted in rage. "Get away from them," she screamed. "You don't ever come into their yard again. Do you hear me?" The boy froze. "Karen," I said, walking toward her. "He's just having dinner. We didn't invite him to cause trouble." She raised her voice even higher. "Don't tell me how to raise my son. He's my child, not your charity case." The boy looked down, shaking. "Ma'am," Mia said gently, "he just looked hungry. That's all." Karen's face went crimson. "You people are unbelievable. I'm calling the police." And she did, right there in front of everyone. When the cops arrived, She was hysterical, saying we had kidnapped her son, lured him over with food, trespassed into her personal life. The officers looked tired. One of them pulled her aside to calm her down. The other walked up to me. "Sir, we got a call, but clearly this is a misunderstanding." He looked at the boy who was now trembling beside me. "Son, do you want to go home?" The boy shook his head. "Not right now." That moment froze everyone. The officer exchanged a glance with his partner. Karen screamed, "He's lying! He doesn't know what he's saying!" But the boy whispered, "Please don't make me go back." The officers tried to reason with her, but Karen wouldn't stop yelling. Eventually, one of them said quietly to me, "We're going to file this as a welfare check. Someone will follow up." They took the boy aside to talk privately. Karen stormed back into her house, slamming the door so hard it echoed. That night, I couldn't sleep. I replayed everything in my head, his scared eyes, Karen's fury, the police's quiet concern. Something told me this wasn't over, and I was right. Because next weekend, when Karen called the cops again, the truth she'd been hiding would finally come out. The next few days were strange. Karen's house stayed dark. No music, no TV noise, no yelling. Her trash bins didn't even move on pickup day. It was like she'd vanished, but her son, Ethan, as I learned from the officers, started showing up around my yard after school. He didn't say much, but when he did, it was enough to break my heart. "She gets angry when she drinks," he said once quietly. "Sometimes I just hide in my room. Or outside. I wanted to say something to help somehow, but what could I do? You can't just accuse someone without proof." Mia called the police station, pretending to check in about the noise complaint case. The officer she spoke to said a social worker had already been assigned to look into things. That gave us a bit of relief until Saturday rolled around again. That evening, we had family over. Kids were playing, laughter filled the air, and for a moment it felt normal again. Then, sirens. Jake cursed under his breath. Here we go again. 2 squad cars pulled up, same as before. But this time, it wasn't just a noise complaint. One of the officers asked, "Sir, do you know a Mrs. Karen Dalton?" "Yeah," I said, confused. "She's my neighbor." "Why?" He nodded gravely. "She called us about you again. But when we got there, her house was empty." "Empty?" I asked. No one answered. Doors unlocked, lights off. "And her phone's still inside." Mia's eyes widened. "Where's Ethan?" The officer looked toward my backyard. Ethan was sitting quietly at the table, eating a burger. When he saw the cops, he froze. They approached him gently. "Hey, buddy, we've been looking for your mom. Do you know where she went?" He hesitated. She said, "She was going to make them all pay." The officer exchanged a look with his partner. "Who's them?" He whispered, "You guys." My stomach dropped. They immediately radioed something in and moved fast. Within minutes, another car arrived. Turns out, Karen had left a voicemail on the non-emergency line, ranting about how the police protected the loud people and that she would show everyone what real peace meant. They started searching the neighborhood. Ethan looked terrified. "She's not okay. Sometimes she says crazy things when she drinks." I sat beside him, trying to calm him down. "You're safe here, all right?" The officers stayed around our house until late that night. Around midnight, they found her at a gas station. Half drunk and rambling, when they brought her back, she was screaming at everyone, accusing me of stealing her family and turning the police against her. The officers had to restrain her. Ethan hid behind Mia, crying. It was chaos. Red and blue lights flashing, neighbors watching from their porches, the smell of burnt charcoal still in the air. Karen was finally taken in for a mental health evaluation. The officer later told me quietly, "You did the right thing, sir. You might have saved that kid tonight." I nodded, speechless, but even as the police drove away, I couldn't shake the image of her face in the flashing lights, twisted, furious, broken. I thought it was over, but one last surprise still waited for me, the one that would change how I saw her forever. 2 weeks passed before the neighborhood began to feel normal again. Karen's house sat quiet and empty. A "for sale" sign eventually appeared on her lawn. The world moved on. Ethan was placed with his aunt, who lived a few towns over. He stopped by once before they left. He smiled shyly, holding a small envelope. "Mom told me to give this to you," before she left. I hesitated, then took it. Inside was a short letter. Her handwriting was shaky but clear. "I'm sorry. I wasn't angry at you. I was angry at myself. Every weekend you left, I was reminded of what I lost. My husband left. My friends stopped coming around. And my son stopped talking to me. I called the cops because I couldn't stand the sound of happiness I didn't have anymore. I hope someday you can forgive me." I didn't know what to say. I stood there for a long time, watching Ethan walk away with his aunt. That weekend, I lit the grill again. The smell of smoke and spice filled the air, but this time it felt different, quieter. I looked at the empty house next door and whispered, "I forgive you, Karen." Mia placed a plate beside me. "Think she'll be okay?" "I hope so," I said softly. Sometimes people don't need enemies. They just need someone to notice they're hurting. The kids laughed in the distance. Jake cracked another joke, and for the first time in months, I felt peace return to Maplewood Lane. The same smoke that once caused chaos now rose gently into the evening sky, disappearing into the sunset, taking all the noise, all the anger, all the hurt with it, because sometimes the fire that nearly burns your peace is the same one that helps you see the light.